The good and ugly of Week 13 and the Falcons' tough decision in Week 14 and the rest of the season. Stay tuned for the bird bath, bitch. SEMO for Point Game official checking in with a Week 14 bird bath. But first and foremost, you see the hat, you know what time it is. Toast and salute to my alma mater, Stevenson Jaguars, for advancing to the state semifinals to play Calhoun. In just his third year, Coach Jelks is just one round away from competing for a state championship. Congrats. Now, it's not very often we get to say this, but in Week 13, the defense played lights out. 5 sacks. And if you ask me, was it the players or the coach? I tell you, it's both of them. Players flying around. Ebiketie had a breakout game. Looks like he's developed a lot more with his pass rush moves as well, too. He had a nice little spin move. Grady Jarrett was definitely getting after. He seemed a little bit younger. Matthew Judon dropping deep downfield in the coverage and forcing the pass rush as well. The defense looked rejuvenated. They definitely looked like they implemented some more things to their scheme. As I said, I would like to see a little bit more zone blitzing, and it looked like they did that. They were also able to get pressure with 4. It looks like the coach actually did a lot more stunts, twists, variation of coverages as well. I definitely feel like we kept him guessing. Harrison's playing a few more snaps out there. We're getting a little bit more out of Brandon Dorless as well. I love to see him come along a lot more. Surprisingly, we played Eddie Goldman a lot more even in our nickel packages. I think that was tremendous for us. Keeping those guys a lot more fresh, and I think that helps. Having Eddie Goldman out there a little bit more. He's occupying multiple blockers at a time, and that's where I got to tip my hat to the coach. A little more creative with the play calling and with the personnel. It's not a lot to dissect on the offense. Kirk threw 4 interceptions and it was bad. Ain't been checking his progressions at all. Something that's been plaguing him for most of his career, from Washington to the Vikings to now in Atlanta. He stares down receivers, premeditates where he's going to go with the ball, and he telegraphs it. And the Chargers were well coached up on tape. They jumped a lot of routes knowing that Kirk likes to go to Drake London. That's no secret, but they know the scenarios and the tendencies. For the most part, Zach Robinson called a pretty good game, making sure that he ran the ball enough. He had a couple of questionable calls in critical situations. A jet sweep on 3rd and 1, leaving Ray McLeod to block on the edge of all players. A 5'9" Ray McLeod. I'd have left Pitts out there. I think we get a little too cute sometimes, but a lot of people are blaming him for what's going on, and I don't blame him quite as much. We brought Kirk in here to make sure that he didn't make the mistakes that Ritter was making last year. He started off the year kind of cold, got a little bit hot, and now over the last 3 games, he hadn't thrown a touchdown. He's gotten progressively worse. And when you look at it honestly, Kirk's arm strength is definitely declining. I saw a next-gen stat that said Kirk was the first quarterback since they started recording the stat to not throw a pass over 36 miles per hour. We're looking at potentially Matt Ryan with the Colts. The big tough question for us going forward is, do you bench Kirk? In my opinion, I say you give him 1 more half. If he comes out against the Vikings and he looks like he's still bad and rusty, I'll pull him. Now, we drafted Penix in the first round, not only for the future, but just in case Kirk wasn't looking right or he got hurt. And right now, Kirk ain't looking right. A few years ago when Flacco was 4-5 with the Ravens, they pulled him and they put Lamar Jackson in. He salvaged the rest of the season and they went to the playoffs. We're a bit better than that right now. We're 6-6, but we can't afford to lose where we're at and miss the playoffs right now. We just fired Arthur Smith for missing the playoffs. So, for Raheem, it ain't a good look missing the playoffs this year. That being said, I think it's just as much important to think about Penix's development. But from what I've seen so far, I think he's looked really good. Now, we don't know the dynamics of the locker room. I'm not watching what's going on in practice, but I'd be safe to say that if they pull Penix out, he's probably going to do a lot better. But the downside of that is once you let the toothpaste out that tube, you can't put it back in. But again, like I said, if he has a bad half, I go ahead and bench Kirk. First and foremost with the Vikings. Pretty loaded offense. They got pretty good wide receivers with Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. TJ Hawkinson is an excellent tight end. Can run block, pass block, matchup problem for our linebackers, certainly. Their running back situation is pretty good also with Aaron Jones. Real good out the backfield as a receiving threat, and also really good between the tackles as a runner. Now, if there's one particular area of weakness with the Vikings, I'd probably say that it's with Sam Darnold in their offensive line. Sam Darnold's the 5th most sacked quarterback in the league this year. He's not great at reading coverages. He's okay. He goes through his progressions, but if you get him off his spot a little bit and get him panicking a bit, he'll turn the ball over. On the year, Sam Darnold has 10 interceptions, 3 behind Kirk Cousins, who leads the league. I believe that if we blitz him a little bit, we try to get him off his spot, but play a little bit between zone and man. Keep him guessing. I'd roll and rotate coverages, disguise some of our coverages, make some delayed blitzes like we did last week. Definitely do some zone blitzing against these guys. But I wouldn't let Sam Darnold sit back there comfortably. He'll definitely pick you apart if you give him a clean pocket and you let him just leave him to his devices. Play a little bit intermediate mix between what we're doing and mix it up with some of the personnel and some of the groupings that we're using out there. This team definitely prefers to run the ball first, but they'll definitely beat you over the top, and the play action is something that can kill us and hurt us deeply. Believe it or not, as good as their wide receivers are, I definitely believe that this is a game for the running backs and the tight ends. But if we're not careful, man, that whole team could have a field day on us. If we get behind on them early and Kirk starts pressing and pushing, this could be a long day. Definitely feel like we want to run the ball. We want to try to alleviate these guys. Wicked pass rush up front. They got 3 specialists that could definitely bring, and they're really good on the defensive line. They have one really good cornerback with Byron Murphy and potentially some holes in other areas of their secondary. But number 5 scoring defense, number 1 against the run. They're 5th in sacks. Really good defensive line and defensive unit. They're the real deal. They're going to be a lot tougher than the Chargers were on defense and as good as the Broncos were. Got to be careful this game. Definitely got to buckle down and make sure we're disciplined. That's our show for today. I want to thank you guys for checking in if you made it this far. And if you love what we're doing over here at Point Game Official, like and subscribe. Hit that button, man. It helps out our algorithm a ton. Small thing to y'all, but big thing for us in our hearts. You can follow us Point Game Official on YouTube and Instagram. And you can find us on Facebook at Point Game, as well as on TikTok at Point Game Official Sports. I'm Simo the C. Mitchell for Point Game Official in the Bird Bath. Checking out, baby. Peace.